everyone, my name is Catherine. If you guys don't know, I attend the church Jesus King International Ministry. My pastors are Salvador and Wendy Vasquez. So I decided to do this video because I had a dream a while ago, and it actually came to my memory, and I feel like it's very important for me to share. So I pray in this moment that you guys will understand this dream, the purpose why I decided to do this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't really do much videos this long, so please bear with me if it's not something perfect. But so yeah, I had this dream, I believe it was about a year ago or 2 years ago, I can't remember, but this dream has been in my mind lately. You know when you have dreams and it just sticks with you, and there's other dreams that you will have and you just forget about it? Well, this kind of dream is that kind of dream where this dream has marked me and I kept in my heart and in memory. And this is the dream I had. So, like about a year ago, I had a dream where I was inside a dream, but people couldn't see me. And in this dream, God showed me 3 people that I have never met in my whole entire life. And it was actually 2 girls and a guy. And they were going out for dinner. And I remember they were at a restaurant. And they were actually saying bye, like getting ready to go to end the night. And I remember this guy, he left on his own, and then the other 2 girls, they went together. They went out together. They were leaving. So they were there, they were saying bye to each other, bye, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I remember when the guy, he was actually, for him to get to his destination, he had to go through a bridge. And right when he was going through the bridge, and the other girls, I remember they got in the car and they were going somewhere else. So for the guy to get right into the bridge, he was in a little bit of traffic. And I remember right a couple minutes later, right when he got on the bridge, it collapsed. The bridge automatically, it collapsed. And I remember that there was cars starting to sink in the water. And it was such a humongous bridge. I remember this bridge, it looked like the San Francisco bridge. It looked like the big red golden bridge. And when I looked to my right, I remember that in my dream I began to see bridges began to fall and collapse. Bridges just began to fall and fall and fall. And God was showing me in this dream where cars just began to sink in and people were getting out the car and they began to run and run. And it was too late for most of them because there was no way of them getting in the way. And in my dream, I remember the 2 girls, they began to run. They began to run, trying to find a way to get away from the bridge. And out of nowhere, I began to see the water, like it looked like the ocean began to rise up. I remember the water, it was so fast. The water, the way it was rising, it was something so crazy. I remember the water, it began to overlap streets. The water was rising so much that it began to take homes, it began to take houses, places, businesses. The water kept going and going and going and going. It was something like crazy. In my dream, I began to look everywhere. Like the water was, it looked like natural disasters. Like it looked like earthquakes and the water rising and eruption everywhere I was going. As soon as that first bridge collapsed, I remember I began to see more bridges just falling, going down, and right when the bridge collapsed, that's when the water began to rise and take over homes, and it was so scary, because as the water kept rising and taking places, I began to see eruption, like explosions, like there was fire due to the water rising. And the two girls, I remember they were running, and they were like looking around, like why, like they were looking around and trying to yell and scream and tell people like, run for your life. Like, don't you see that this is happening? Don't you see that there's something going on in the world? Like the bridge just collapsed, like in front of them, they saw it. Don't just, like, they were just yelling and telling people, and people like literally they were just eating in the restaurants like nothing was happening. Like it didn't affect them. People were literally just acting like they didn't know what was going on outside. They were still in restaurants, like people were still doing their own thing. And I remember the two girls, they were trying to run so high up, trying to escape. And it got to a point where they reached the highest place. They got to their city. I remember it looked like they reached the top of a mountain. And when they stood there, I remember when they both stood there, I remember the view they had. They literally stood there and they started to look at the view. And I didn't mention earlier, it was daytime, so it looked like it was nighttime. It looked like it was nighttime at that moment because of all of the explosions and disasters that were happening around the world. And they literally got on top of that high mountain and they looked around. They were looking and they were looking and looking like, oh my God, I can't believe like this is actually happening. They can't believe that their city literally, it looked like they sinked, like it just sinked into a different world. Like it looked so dark, and it was daytime. It looked like it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it looked like it was literally 8 o'clock. Like it was foggy due to the explosions that were happening. It was foggy. I remember there was smoke everywhere around the city. There was smoke. The houses weren't there anymore. Everything was just ruined and destroyed because of how high the water began to rise and how fast it was like taking and just, it was like eating up everything that was in the city, in the world. And they got up there and they just told each other like, hey, you know, we have to separate. We can't be together no more. We have to find our own way to get out of this. And at that moment, they separated. They decided to separate. And the girl, she got in a car. One of the girls, because there was 2 girls. So one of the girls, she got in the car and she left somewhere. I don't remember where she went, but I do remember the other girl. She was walking. She was already on the highest place in her city where she tried to escape, and she saw, and I saw a bridge. It looked like that was the last bridge on earth. It looked like that was the last bridge standing. And literally, right when she was about to put her first foot on that bridge, right in that moment, she had to step back, because right in that moment, the last bridge that was up, the last bridge that people had to escape to go to a different country, it literally just collapsed. It collapsed, and she jumped back. She had to jump back, because if not, she was gonna fall and die. And she was going crazy. I remember this girl, I don't know her. God just showed me 3 people in this dream, and he was just showing me the process that they were all going through. And I remember this girl, she pushed herself back because that bridge collapsed right in front of her. And this is the only thing I remember her saying. She said, "It's too late." She said, "It's too late." And in my dream, I remember how she made this phone call, and she said, I don't know who she was speaking to, but she was calling her friend, and this is what she said. She said, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me you knew this was gonna happen in the world? Why didn't you tell me?" And the person on the other line didn't even say one word, didn't speak, didn't say nothing. It sounded like there was no one on the other line, but this is what she was saying. She said, "Why didn't you tell me that in your book you knew this was going to happen?" And the person didn't say anything, and she hung up. And when she hung up, literally, that's when I woke up from my dream. I woke up from my dream, and I said, and my heart was literally just going so fast. Like, it was just that type of dream, you know, when you have a dream and your heart starts to go fast. I was like, God, like, I began to talk to God in that moment. I said, Lord, like, so when I said, God, the book is the Bible. You're telling me the book is the Bible. And I remember that day, literally the whole entire day, I didn't stop thinking about the dream I had. That dream spoke to me in so many ways. I literally got in the car and I began to look around the world, and I saw the world, and I saw the city so different. I began to see the bridges, I began to see the highways, the houses, businesses, and I began to see it the way I had my dream. And it was such a scary feeling. But I understood why the Lord allowed me to have this dream. And why the girl in the end said, "Why didn't you tell me you knew these things were going to happen?" And the book she referred to as the Bible. Like, you knew, like she said, like, you are a believer, you know who God is, you are a Christian, and why didn't you ever, like, evangelize or ever told me that you knew these things were gonna take place? You knew these things around the world. You knew that there is gonna be a time where the world is going to end. And she was like confronting this person that was a Christian, a believer. And I took that personally myself, because it's like, okay, Catherine, what are you doing? What are you doing to save a soul? There are souls that are getting lost right now. What are you doing? Are you doing your part as a Christian? Like, okay, I can be saved right now, but where's your heart inclined to? I felt selfish. I felt like I wasn't doing enough for the Lord. And this is why I decided to do this video, because it's time for us to speak up and speak to souls and people who are getting lost. it's something I need to get used to as well, like speaking to people. But God allows you to see things for a reason. And some verses that I wrote down that spoke to me, I want to share with you all quickly, is in the book of Luke and Matthew. In the book of Luke, it says, there will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilence, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. Luke 20:21-25, verse 25. And there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations, and in perplexity because of the rearing of the sea and the waves. And in the book of Matthew also talks about how there's going to be how the nation will rise, and the kingdom, there's going to be kingdom against kingdoms, and there is going to be earthquakes, and it continues talking about how all these things are going to take place. But I want to remind you all that this is biblical, and this is supposed to happen. Things around the world, there's going to be so much tribulation, but it's something biblical. And in the book of John 16:33, it says, I have said these things to you, that in me you will find peace. And in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Meaning, he has overcome everything that's going on in the world. It's supposed to happen. And this is why we're here. Christians, believers, this is why we're here. We're here to capture the souls that are getting lost, that are getting distracted from the enemy. And I did this video for a reason. It spoke to my heart. God spoke to my heart and said, listen, it's time to speak up and capture souls from the enemy. I'm gonna end this here, and I want to thank everyone that took their time to listen, and I pray that you understand and receive this dream that I had, that is just not a dream. It's so much more than a dream, because God is calling the church, God is calling his people to begin to evangelize and to speak to souls, to their family, to their friends, to their surroundings, to the world, that he is coming back. He is coming soon, and it's time for us to wake up, church. Wake up, evangelize, speak to souls, pray, declare, fast. It's not time to sleep, but time to be awakened in our spirit. It's time to crucify our flesh and begin to walk with the cross, and capture what the enemy wants to do in this world. We need to capture how souls are beginning to die and get lost, and they're going to hell if they're not saved. And that's something that it breaks my heart. So yeah, I want to thank you for watching, and yeah, thank you for watching, and God bless you, and I pray that you begin to be moved in the spirit and be connected with God. God bless everyone.